Welcome to the Tuesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Tuesday morning. And I would have been on time had I not been arguing with Grolem over here. Hey, Sir Yogi, how's it going? Wow. Way to blame me. I mean, I've got to throw my my mod under the bus. I mean, who else am I supposed to blame? Myself? I'm supposed to blame myself? What? You would have been on time if you weren't late. True! Flawless logic. Thanks for the shout out, of course, of course. Correct, Grolem. That is correct. A wizard is never late, nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to. True. I mean, I tried that at work, but it didn't really fly. Alright folks, we do have a few headlines to go through. I appreciate everybody who was here yesterday, and it seems like, I don't know why I didn't see it, but on my activity feed, it did show up, so I'm not sure what happened there, but it turns out Left Flank Vets actually raided us yesterday. I really want to apologize for not seeing that, and thank you. I appreciate that, and I appreciate all the new follows. Apparently, this also happened here. Baked Cupcake, Limitless 326, I Fight for Them, KCN 6391. Thank you so much for the offline follows. Yeah, I completely didn't see that, so I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all the new follows, the offline follows, and the massive raid. Thank you. Alright, let's check out some headlines, yeah? Hey, the Kevin FM, how's it going? Howdy, 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 howdy. We've got plenty of headlines. Well, we've got some headlines to go through. We've got some, alright? We've got some. Hey bud, hope your morning is going well. We're hanging out, alright? We're having a chill time. Not sure why you're not VIP. I could have sworn I did, but that's okay. We'll fix that. We will fix that. So the goal of today is just to have a chill hangout. It is the birthday bash part 2, Electric Boogaloo. As today I'm enjoying the day off, so I get to hang out with you guys for a little bit. Hey, Spread It Forward, how's it going? Of course, I see you. Alright, folks, we do have some headlines to go through. Just because it's birthday time doesn't mean the news stops, alright?
Shiawassee County voted to give themselves a couple weeks ago.
Is there any good news anymore? There's never any good news. It's always bad. Well, there are some good news, okay? There are some good news. Some.
County commissioners in the state of Michigan from Shiawassee County voted to give themselves nice little bonuses. And the bonuses actually came from COVID relief funds. Now, the whole vote wasn't just on giving themselves bonuses, but it was for other employees of the county who worked during the pandemic. They said, hey, you know what? We're going to give them hazard pay. We're going to do the right thing. We're going to reward these people for having to go out there and work during the deadly pandemic. And if it had ended there, that would have been a great success story. But nope, this Republican-controlled commission in a conservative red county decided to skim a little off the top for themselves because, after all, they decided, you know what? We worked during the pandemic.
Wow, amazing. This gives me Rick Scott skimming off millions from Medicare in Florida vibes.
Sure, we weren't out there on the front lines. We weren't having to really deal with anybody, but we were working, damn it. And we deserve money. The commissioners voted on July 15th to award themselves $65,000 as part of a plan to give $557,000 to 250 county employees as hazard pay for dealing with the coronavirus pandemic.
Nice.
The smallest amounts for recipients were $1,000 to $2,000, but the chairman of the county board, Jeremy Root, got $25,000.
Nice.
Two commissioners received $10,000 each, while four received $5,000 each. The vote was 6-0, with one commissioner absent. And they would have gotten away with it too
if it weren't
the pesky lawyers. See, the lawyers then came out after the vote happened, and these county commissioners thought, "Oh boy, I just got tens of thousands of dollars." And the lawyer said, "Yeah, guys, that's illegal. If you do that, if you accept this money, you're gonna face legal consequences for this. Probably every one of you is gonna lose your seat, and you may even end up in jail." So, now that the big public spotlight is on it, now that the lawyers are telling them you legally can't do this, the county commissioners have come out and said, "Oh, we're going to give it all back." Oh, whoops. I mean, who among us, right, hasn't accidentally illegally given themselves $25,000?
Who among us? Was that an Among Us reference? Coffee for Gamers? TM? True. It is. It is. By the way, number one, hi, howdy. And number two, it's actually pretty good coffee. I have some. Lawyers to the rescue, my people. Pog. True.
$1,000 bonus sure happens all the friggin' time, right? So they're going to give the money back. They're not going to face any legal consequences, but hopefully they're going to face electoral consequences. These are county commissioners. These are elected positions. Every single one of them should be voted out. Every single one of them without hesitation. Maybe the one person that was absent, maybe you could spare them. I don't know. But folks, when we say all politics is local, we quite literally mean things like this. How many people could tell you who is serving on their county commissioner board? I'll be perfectly honest.
That's a good question. I like this position here. I like this position. Yeah, he's absolutely correct. Pay attention to local politics. Who's your commissioner? Who's your state representative? Who's your local representatives? I think he is underestimating the amount of local support for what they're doing. What do you mean, Memo? And also, hey, howdy.
Honest with you, I can't. I have no idea who my county commissioners are. I have no idea if they're doing crap like this. And that's a very real problem, folks. We need to start paying attention to things like this.
True.
You know, if this was a group of Republican or even...
True, it doesn't matter. But the point still stands of, like, people need to be educated in what's happening in their local politics. if you're not aware already, right? Like if you're not understanding like what type of laws or ordinances these local commissions are passing, I highly suggest to take a look at what they're passing. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. Like what exactly is going on? Because like part of a functioning democracy, as I always list out, there's three parts to a functioning. There's three main parts, generally speaking, to a functioning democracy, right? You need a strong institutions, and by strong institutions, I mean institutions that do that are designed to do what they're supposed to be doing, right? For example, if we have three branches of government, they're supposed to work in the manner that they are. Institutions become broken when you start to when they start to not function in that manner. So an example of how an institution could be broken is, for example, undue influence of corporate money influencing legislatures. That could be a problem. The second pillar, I don't know, or second system or second piece of the puzzle, generally speaking, is transparency. You need to know what your government is up to, how it affects you. So every time a new legislature comes up, then it should be clear, accessible to people so that they could make conclusions based on what the bill is about. And number 3 is inclusivity, right? People need to participate in order for a democracy to work. If people don't participate, it doesn't work properly, right? So people need to participate in these local elections. People need to participate in what's happening in local politics, because if not, these people get away with like everything. I mean, like, they got away with what, tens or tried to get away with tens of thousands of dollars, right? So like people need to pay attention and need to be involved and participate. That's what I mean. A couple of reactionary older people here propose a bad parent system of fines, potential jail time if fines aren't paid. If your minor child commits some petty crime like rioting or graffiti, then the parent would pay $10,000 in fines. Wait, 10,000? Jesus Christ. The ghouls in our city council. Wait, what kind of like $10,000? I mean, like, Jesus Christ. How are people, A, supposed to pay for it? Unless it's by design, so that people can't pay for it. And then, what, you face jail time? This is the bad parents are the source of the crime take. Yeah, but, like, Jesus Christ, that is like, no, wait, that's not how you, no, that's not how you go about solving that problem, right? If you think that bad parents are the source of crime, you have to ask yourself why. What is going on in that situation that made that to be the case? Could it be maybe or situation? Could it be maybe that there are circumstances, economic circumstances, as to why? Like, ask yourself why that is. If you think that's the problem, ask yourself why. And like, furthermore, as you're saying, Chai Bureaucrat, bruh, if you jail the parents, what happens to the kid? Like, this is so back-ass words. It's not a good look to be preaching about being into local politics and in the same breath saying that he's not aware who his county commissioner is. Yeah, I could see that. I think that he's making the point by saying like, look, I don't even know. So holy yikes. This is why we should be paying attention, because like I'm not aware of this, so now I realize just how important local politics are. I think that's the message he was trying to bring, but yeah, I get it. It doesn't look good on the surface. Yeah, that's totally going to solve the problem. It won't go anywhere, but that's where their heads are at, and there's several of them. Jesus Christ. So yeah, local politics are important. Imagine imagine trying to solve crime by jailing the parents for crimes that the kids commit. Oh yeah. Yeah, and these are the same people who cry about these are the same people who cry like, "Oh yeah, it's definitely it's definitely part of like bad parenting or bad raising of the children, so we're gonna take the kids away from the parents." Wait, that's not how you solve that. Right, KTS, that's his message. We need to do better, including myself. Yeah, crimes. Anyone can get kettled and corralled at a protest or concert and get charged with rioting or... Yeah, that's true. That has happened. Hey, it's Get Deer. Good morning, morning, morning. That's also true. And like, really? Graffiti? $10,000? Graffiti? Okay. Graffiti is vandalism. Sometimes, but $10,000? Okay. I think maybe, like, I don't know, make them clean it up or something if it's bad? I don't... Just make them clean it up, I don't know. No need to give them $10,000 fines and then threaten to jail people if they can't pay it, which obviously they can't because nobody has $10,000. Does that make your art worth 10K? I mean, if it's some awesome, like, mural style, then I would argue maybe you should leave it. Nah, I don't know. It just depends on what, I guess, people want. Your art is whatever you want it to be worth. That's something I've learned. Your art is whatever you want it to be worth. The TLDR, I think that like 10K is like incredibly excessive. That's my point. My point is like 10K for graffiti is incredibly excessive.
Democratic lawmakers from Washington, D.C., House of Representatives, Senate, whatever, this would be national news. Absolutely wall-to-wall coverage. Look at how corrupt these individuals are. But it's from a small little county up there in Michigan. Nobody's paying attention. We're lucky we even get to know that this story is happening. We all, and that includes myself, don't forget, we all have to start paying attention locally to what's happening in our local politics. After all, those are the ones that affect us the most. They affect us on a daily basis.
True, and I've seen like the speech at CPAC. Oh god, I forgot what was his name. I think it was Charlie Kirk who was making this argument. Right? They understand. Who's making this exact argument. Like, hey, everything is like from the local up, right? Because they get it. We need to make sure that we can understand that too, right? They must think that they're gonna catch Banksy or something. True.
And we need to be on the lookout, because I can promise you, if we started really paying attention, we'd find out that Shiawassee County Commissioner Board isn't the only corrupt one in the United States.
True.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, so like, the TLDR is to pay attention. It's to pay attention to local politics. I mean, like, yeah, I agree. Every time you see that tool, you know who else is paying attention to local politics? Yeah, that's right. The right. I saw a clip of a dog that actually painted a flower with stem and leaves. It was actually quite a good job too. I saw that. Sir Yogi. I saw that. That was a cute video. That was a very cute video. Alright, let's see. Ooh. Jeez.
Has been doing More Perfect Union has been doing some great work lately. We talked about a number of their stories in regards to Frito-Lay, how workers worked like 5 months straight, no days off, 12-hour.
It's part of the charm. Oh my goodness. It is the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Bleep Blop Ben. Howdy, howdy. Everybody should be following twitch.tv/BleepBlopBen. I think that PepsiCo owns Frito-Lay. I think so. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Ben. Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure. PepsiCo. Yep. Cow sounding extra foggy. This is true. Yep. Never been happier with my generic brand chips. I mean, they're chips. To be quite honest, chips are chips. Thank you for the follow, D. Cocat? Cool cat. Cool cat. You know what? That's what I'm gonna say. Cool cat. Howdy. Sorry about that. I honestly, like, to me, mostly, chips are chips, you know? Chips are chips.
Days, just insane stuff. No climate control in the warehouse, so that sometimes it's 100 degrees, sometimes it's, you know, freezing in there. People have died.
Yeah, I've said that before. Like my dad works in a warehouse, and when it's hot, that warehouse is an oven. When it's cold, that warehouse is like a freezer box. As I grow older, I really enjoy plain less salted chips. True. Do you think that if Caitlyn Jenner becomes governor, she would appoint Caitlyn Jenner and Pepsi as the Attorney General, and that would solve all the crimes and problems with them in charge? True! The perfect trifecta of solving problems.
So they're doing a great job exposing these real labor issues. Well, now we have another one. This one's about Disney and how they scammed not only their workers, which they did, but also U.S. taxpayers.
Here in Disneyland, you see janitors, cast members die.
That's also true, Sir Yogi. Depends. Sometimes they'll say it on the label. You have to look for it. You have to look for it.
They don't have homes, and that's the story that they don't want to tell, because that goes against the happiest place on earth.
What? A massive corporation is trying to cut wages and benefits in any way, shape, or form that they can? Amazing. The dude that was interviewed at the beginning is the same dude Turing was interviewing when he first saw their strike. He talked to him for a good 10 minutes. Oh, shoot. Nice. What? That's pretty cool. I did not know that. Turing News is good beeps. I appreciate him coming on yesterday. Well, good eye, spread it forward.
It is immoral. It should be illegal to take full-time people, give them less, and part-time people and give them nothing.
True.
Disneyland Corporation got over $500 million of CARES money and laid off 28,000 workers. Many of them that did not have a dime. Many of them that have not been brought back to work.
Not only that, like, this happens time and time again where corporations are offered massive like freebies. In exchange, we will hire X amount, or in exchange, we will rehire X amount, or in exchange, we will open up a new plant, or like, and none of that ends up happening, and they get to keep the freebies. So must be nice. Stock buybacks. Yeah, we had to pay those production costs for Loki. Correct. They should be demanding workplace democracy. Their demands are so low. Oof.
Yo estoy atrasada 4 meses con mi mortgage y tengo miedo de perder mi condominio que me costó mucho trabajo con el propósito para mis hijos.
Yeah. Like, imagine, like, this is the position that some people are in, and then have, like, this massive corporation be like, cool, dude. Cool story, bro. Anyways, if you don't like it, you can work somewhere else. Like, what? Bro, are you for real? Like, that's literally how this is being played out. Like, yeah, we'll rehire you. I know that you desperately need this job, so we'll rehire you, but we're gonna cut X, Y, and Z. Under the threat of, like, what are you gonna do? Go somewhere else? I mean, you've got a mortgage to pay, don't you? You've got rent to pay, don't you?
They are using this opportunity in this pandemic to actually get rid of workers, and to get rid of workers who might have had some kind of disability, or workers who have a seniority that they feel that they would have to pay them a little bit more.
Yeah. I could see that. I could see that. Be like, alright, this is a perfect opportunity to restructure and see how we can cut costs and cut corners. Anyways, so the following will be laid off or let go as of such and such date. And that's it, right? That's the end of it. This is unbelievably, like, this is unbelievably horrifying.
Than a brand new worker.
And we're also dealing with the fact that they don't want to give us seniority pay. So now we have people who've been working 15, 20 years making the same as somebody who's brand new.
Wow. Jesus Christ. I work for a massive company. Like, okay, not massive, but pretty massive. And never have I seen the type of attitude that Disney is taking, or Frito-Lay has taken, or even Amazon has taken. But then again, those companies would dwarf my company. Well, not my company, but the company I work for, right? So it just goes to show you that, like, the way you get there is by doing this, right? It's not cool, dude. Yes, Raytheon. I mean, like, the company that I work for, you know what they did? And, like, I complain a lot about, like, my job and stuff, but, like, you know what they did when Florida decided to pass minimum wage upgrades? Within the same, like, year, all base employees are now going to be making $15 an hour. Any employee that was making above $15 an hour has gotten a significant boost. They pay people more based on years of being with the company. If you have additional skills, they pay you more. And if you take the certain shifts, they pay you more. So like, at least I will say that about my company. Like, and yet they're still capable of being a massive company. I think like the last time I checked, it wasn't a Fortune 500, but it was a Fortune like 400 or Fortune 300, I think, or something like that. It was still a massive, it still is a massive company. Maybe not like Disney massive, or maybe not Frito-Lay massive, but still, they absolutely can afford wages, upgraded wages. They absolutely can afford all the benefits that we have. So the idea that like they need to cut this because of whatever is completely ridiculous. It doesn't make sense.
Yo me siento muy orgullosa de los visitantes que me han dado las gracias cuando me han encontrado limpiando un basurero y ven el parque muy limpio y ellos dicen gracias por tener muy limpio el parque. So nosotros merecemos el pago que sea suficiente para sobrevivir.
True. No job in this country, no job ever, period, full stop, should pay any less than whatever, insert living wage here, right? Whatever the cost of living is, that's the base minimum wage. Full stop. I mean, like, you could even do, I've made this, I've made this proposal before. You could even make, like, updates to all the wages based on where you live and based on the cost of living in those areas. You can do it by city, or you can do it state by state, or county by county, whatever it is that you want to do it by. You can take the cost of living for whatever, and that's the base minimum wage. And like, that's the end of that story, right? And then once that begins to catch up, then the federal level can say, all right, you know what? The base federal level is going to be X, Y, or Z, and that's it, and be done with it. I mean, like, people literally can't afford rent at this point. On one job, they would have to take two or more jobs, work in excess of 60 hours a week, sometimes even in the triple digits of hours a week, to be able to afford like basic rent. I mean, come on.
What's going on is basically a joke. Disney has a joke of an offer on wages, no recognition for senior cast members that have been...
Take 10 minutes and learn the local politicians on stream. Oh, for me? I mean, that might be a good content section. That might be a good content session. And honestly, what kind of moral standard is it to employ somebody at a wage that they can't afford a living? True. If you can't factor this into your business costs, then you shouldn't be in business. That's a you problem.
Been here for 20 years or more. I know some are 30 and are getting the same wages as people that just started. Minimal wage increases, less than 3% for most of them. No increase in some of the premiums. No increase in paid days off for the part-time members. It's a real joke what they're offering. What do we say to that? Okay.
Brothers and sisters, we stand with you. When I say union, you say power. Union! Union! Union!
Tired of hidden rental car fees?
Whoa.
I'm not dealing with this.
Skip the paperwork.
Again, massive credit to More Perfect Union there. By the way, I just learned that the person responsible for that is actually Bernie's former campaign manager, Faz Shakir. So shout out to Faz. I actually know him a little bit. Great guy. It's wonderful work he's doing here. This is better like investigative reporting than any of the news outlets that I've seen in a decade. So wonderful, wonderful job. All right, so let's run through some of this stuff. This is infuriating. So there are people working for Disney full-time and living in their cars. Working for Disney full-time and living in their cars. I submit to you, that's a sign of a broken system, of a broken economy that doesn't reward hard work. Doesn't reward it. If it did, they wouldn't be sleeping in their cars.
It's how obnoxiously loud they are. Overthrow the capitalists.
Cut wages and all benefits for returning workers after COVID. So they told them, hey, listen, it's a matter of necessity. We can't afford it. We got to cut the wages and all benefits for returning workers after COVID. But as was pointed out, they got $500 million of CARES Act money. They got $500 million of CARES Act money. They laid off 28,000 workers at the same time, and then they cut wages and all benefits for returning workers. No. Everybody needs to understand something. Point blank, very simple. That's a scam. Disney is running a scam.
Well, yeah, it's the same scam that all corpos run, right? You beg for a bunch of corporate money because, you're too big to fail or whatever the excuse is. Remember the massive amount of money that was given to was it the airline industry? Was it the airline industry or the cruise line industry? I mean, it's the same story. It's the same story. Remember how dozens of corporations begged for government handouts, and when they got them, the majority of those handouts went to stock buybacks. We have this because, well, the CEOs admitted it. Particularly the one that comes to mind was Coca-Cola. I think that during one of I think it was it during the 2008 recession where Coca-Cola got a whole bunch of bailout money, and then they used it for stock buybacks, pump the value of their stocks. Amazing. Holly Weird and Disney, true.
That's what they're doing. The whole point of getting that money, this was the whole point. And by the way, this also shows shame on the fucking government for not having strings attached and not having rules along with it. But the whole point of getting that money was to keep the economy running as is. We'll give you the $500 million, but you got to pay people the same. You can't lay off more than X number of workers, whatever. Fire 28,000 workers and cut wages and all benefits? Are you kidding me? They talked to a full-time custodial worker who's 4 months behind on her rent and is afraid of losing her home. And also, so if they make the argument, hey, listen, again, we had to do some of this stuff because of COVID, even with the $500 million. Well, then the point is raised, but you cut the custodial staff in the middle of COVID. If you cut, the whole point is, oh my God, we have to do this for COVID. You know what else you should have to do because of COVID? Increase sanitation and cleanliness procedures. So that would mean you would have to expand the custodial staff. They cut it. They cut it, then they have the nerve to say...
Wait, no, hold on. No. I understand the point that Kyle Kalinski's making, but in terms of how actually COVID works, they found out that, well, the reality is it doesn't really transmit on surfaces, so it's more of it's more of a kind of just overall general cleanliness procedure that you should do anyways. But the idea that COVID spreads on surfaces was first proposed, and then they realized it's actually way more dangerous than originally thought. It was actually airborne. So yeah, no, this has nothing to do with COVID being transmitted on surfaces. So yeah, but regardless, you do need janitorial staff that you can't skimp out on that.
Say, oh, the reason why we have to fire 28,000 workers and cut wages and all benefits is because of COVID. No, if you're doing things that are necessary for COVID, in some areas you'd have to do more, like get more people on the custodial staff.
They get so greedy they don't bother to think clever ways to to say how the money is spent. True. I have a link to an Australian YouTuber talking about the same thing here with big businesses, and also how Australia has the fastest growing number of billionaires in the world during COVID restrictions. Not surprised. We have seen this across the board, right? It was like a general trend that billionaires have increased their wealth by a massive amount. If you have that, send it to me.
And as they say, you know, one of the dirty things they're doing is any worker who was with them who's disabled, they're trying to get rid of them. Any worker who has seniority pay, which means they've been there for over 20 years and they know everything.
It's true, $10. Hey, USA lol, thank you for the raid. I appreciate that. Howdy, everybody. Thank you. After watching Kyle relays, these are legit wet sweatshops. Yeah, I mean, like, look at the conditions in the Amazon warehouses. Not good. Not good. Thank you for the raid. I appreciate that. Howdy, everybody. If you guys don't know who we are A Difficult Truth. We do news and politics Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And we have Saturday Catadays, where we just hang out and have a chill time around noon Eastern Time. So make sure you join us there. I never trusted Kyle Galinsky since he teamed up with Crystal Ball. Yeah, I mean, like, you should always understand that a lot of these, like, folks, I mean, like, you should always understand that, like, at the end of the day, no matter what, independently verify the information that you receive, right? Always. Like, just because it's Kyle Galinsky doesn't mean it's always going to be 100% right. He may be right, he may be wrong. I don't know. That's why we're listening and taking a look and then breaking it down. There is truth to this in the sense that, like, yeah, corporations have done this, like, time and time again. This is no different. This is a this play is no different than what they did in 2008 and during the other recession, right? However, when he says something incorrect, I will call it out. It's not that big of a deal, right? It's not like he's a human being. He could be absolutely wrong. Howdy. Send it to me in whispers, Sir Yogi.
You know, all the procedures, they do their job really well. They're leaders in some sense. They know the inner workings of it all. They're getting rid of the seniority pay, so that means you can make the same if you've been there for 20 years as somebody who just started 2 days ago. This is Disney scamming.
I will appreciate your joke, okay? I appreciate your joke. How about that? I see you, okay? Cal is far left, and that means his takes are acknowledge the woes of the left. I don't know if he's, like, far left, but definitely, he definitely has a left-leaning bias, for sure. I agree with a number of things he says. I just have to look at him with extra scrutiny. Yeah, unfortunately, because of the last video, we had to, like, kind of break that one down. Again, he is a human being. He can be wrong. I can be wrong too, by the way. I can be wrong too, right? And when we are wrong, it's okay to take that L and acknowledge it.
Their own workers, and also scamming U.S. taxpayers, because we gave them $500 million, and the whole point of that was
the left and the right. Okay.
Keep everything running the same. Instead, they took that money, fired 28,000 people, cut workers in all benefits, cut seniority pay, got rid of disabled workers.
Yeah, I mean, like, all of this is, like, again, just classic play. Classic play. We saw it during the Trump administration too. The Trump administration went to I think it was this air conditioning manufacturing company. It was a It was a shoot. It was a plant, I believe, and they said, "Oh yeah, no, we're not gonna we're not going to fire any workers if you give us these tax cuts. We're not going to move our plant to Mexico or anything like that." And they got the tax break, and then consequently did exactly that. They laid off what, like some 700? Was it 700? I'm forgetting my story. Let me see here. The company starts with the letter C. And that's a difficult truth to swallow. True. Oh man, I'm forgetting the name of the company. It starts with C. Oh yes, Carrier. Carrier Air Conditioning Company. Thank you. Okay, Carrier Air Conditioning Company. Layoffs. Yeah. This is standard procedure, so it's not like this is a new thing.
Cut the custodial staff. And this is nothing but a fraud and a sham and a giant scam and shame.
Relatively anti-imperialist when it comes to war. Not sure where he stands on corporate imperialism. I'm pretty sure he's against that.
Shame on them. Shame on them. So this is just, I mean, these stories are just so everybody understands what's going on in this country. And
hey,
this is what happens when workers aren't represented.
Hey, Bread Crochet.
Your government is corrupt and not representing you. And the management and owners of...
Hey, Bread Crochet, how's it going? Biden laid off 11,000 with the stroke of a pen. Okay. Okay.
The respective companies you work for don't give a fuck about you. So who's looking out for you? Who's fighting for you? Well, the answer is really, in this case, the union. The union is fighting for you. And More Perfect Union is blowing the whistle on all this stuff and getting the word out. And again, so much credit to them. They're doing phenomenal.
All right, chat. You want to start taking bets? How much you want to bet this has to do with the pipeline?
Work over there. Now you know, this is what Frito-Lay, company that, you know, I never thought twice about in my life, and of course I love chips, like everybody loves chips, never thought about it, but meanwhile, look at what they were doing to their workers, now look at what Disney's doing to their workers.
Yeah, it's almost like, and I know, this is I know this is a wild concept, but like, how did you think those companies got as massive as they did? Those people shouldn't be laid off. They should be forced into new careers because of oil gas is dying. Yeah, true. True. And second of all, if it is talking about the if it is talking about the pipeline, these are temporary jobs anyways. I bet against it being about the oil wager. 10 minutes in timeout. Alright. I mean, you don't have to find a new career. Okay, well, yeah, I get what you're saying. But I believe the wording on that was a little bit weird. That's okay. We get it. So the idea would be then use those folks to build the future. That's the whole point of the Green New Deal. Well, allegedly, the point of the Green New Deal is to raise that capabilities of our infrastructure, and that's going to need people to build it and maintain it. Oh, sea of noise. Biden fired 11,000 debate bros. Or debate bays? Debate bros or debate bays? Maybe he did. You know what? I'm calling it. Hot take, everybody. I think that all debate bros and debate bays and debate all the debate all the debate sphere, okay? Yes, that includes guys, gals, and pals. All debate bros, well, the colloquial term debate bros, should be terminated. How about that? No more jobs, alright? That's enough. No more debate sphere. It's over. Alright? You guys ruined it. The internet ruined it. No more debate sphere. It's done. Debate lords. Thank you. That's a perfect, a perfect term. Alright, you know what? We're canceling all debate lords. No more. It's over, okay? It was a mistake. The internet was a mistake. Let's try again, okay? I'm kidding, guys. I'm kidding. There's nothing wrong with debate bays. But yeah, I think debate lords was the term I'm looking for. Can we, oh, now we're gonna have to debate on this? Are we gonna have to create a whole entire debate panel on why we should end debate panels? Can you imagine how meta that would be? Can you imagine how meta that would be? A debate panel on whether or not debate panels are good. And finally, no more Shapiro. Listen, I personally don't have anything against, like, the concept of, like, debates or anything like that. I just think that, like, the way the internet has worked it out to be is, like, unbelievably toxic. And I feel like a lot of us have, like, kind of lost the principles of, like, real, like, discussions of, like, actually important issues, and have turned it into a spectacle and performance more than actually trying to address the problems that we are facing. The debate sphere is pantomiming the tone and value of reality TV because of content website needs content. True. Yeah, basically that's my point, Sea of Noise. Like, I personally don't really have any problems with debates. I love debates. But I feel like at this point that's been so warped that, it's been so warped that, like, trying to talk about, like, serious issues with, it becomes some kind of, like, blood sport spectacle thing, you know? And, like, I guess we all love, like, the entertainment, like, and it is entertaining, but, like, Jesus Christ, like, we kind of put these very important topics and make it into a spectacle, like, very important topics, like, serious stuff that we need to be addressing, and, like, it's just now, and it's just now, like, a point of, like, who can dunk on people the best, Good morning, Comrade Radio. Thank you for the raid. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Howdy, everybody. Good morning. You know, like, I don't know. I think we've turned debating into something that could be really good and really good into a spectacle. And I don't know if I'm okay with that. How are we doing today? We're hanging in there. We're hanging in there. So yeah, that's my point. Like, I personally don't really have a problem with like the concept of debating people. But it's just become such a the internet and this, like, you know, YouTube and even Twitch culture, in terms of like having all these panels and people yelling at each other. I don't know. It's just like, it's not good. We've warped this idea into like this and created a toxic like aura around it now. I can see why other people enjoy online debates, but it's not for me. I hate how it's just a game for people and their objective is just to win instead of understanding. Yeah, that's my problem, KTS. It's like, these are very important issues that affect very real people. And like, you're making, I don't want to say mockery, but like, you're making it into a spectacle, right? Does that make sense?
So the more this stuff gets out there, the better, because then we realize we need worker solidarity and we need to fight for...
And trust me, I lurk and I get into it in other chats when panels are going. But yeah,
for regular people. We have to have a system where the bare minimums are taken care of, where the floor is a reasonable floor. We have to have a system that is a meritocracy in the sense that it rewards hard work, and these people are hardworking and they're not rewarded. So
yes. Almost. Kind of. Almost.
As I always say, in a sense, we have like an anti-meritocracy now. A high percentage of wealth for the ultra-rich is just inherited. So those people don't have to do shit and they're rich. These people work their ass off and they're poor. That's an anti-meritocracy. We gotta fix the system. We gotta fix it now.
Yeah, he's going about the angle that he's going about the right-wing angle of saying like, oh well, we live in a meritocracy, so if you just work hard, then you will be a billionaire or whatever nonsense. He's trying to say, hey, you know what? This isn't. How about we have a real meritocracy? Like, I think he's trying to appeal to that argument. Debates with leftists are more aggressive rather than understanding, but we could do much more. Yeah, I mean, like, it depends. Some people are aggressive. I don't know if that has anything to do with like right or left, but some people are just overtly aggressive. I think the reason why he doesn't say that is because, like, how do we go about it? Like, I don't know.
Solidarity with these Disney workers.
True. Hey, here's a perfect way we can like make significant change, especially within like the, you know, especially within the tools that we have here and now. Here's a great idea. How about we expand the ability for unionization? How about we normalize unionization instead of that being the outliers? How about we make unionization the norm? It's true story. Kyle has that tatted above his ass. True. How about we make unionization the norm instead of like the exception, right? Because to my knowledge, the amount of the US workforce that is actually unionized is incredibly and abysmally low. We can normalize unionization instead of making that the exception, and if you all want to talk about democratizing the workforce, that is a step. That is something we can do, and I would say to encourage worker co-ops. I mean, incentivize worker co-ops and see if that works. Debate Bros is no intellectual points, no thoughtful decisions. Sometimes that is true, Alio, because at the end of the day, it's not about winning on basis of ideas. Sometimes it's winning based off rhetoric, and that these two things don't need to be these two things don't need to intersect necessarily. How do I? Are you asking me how do I disagree with How do you disagree with Kyle? Well, in this segment, in this Robomax, thank you for the follow. I'm gonna address your nonsense tiddly. Just give me a second. In this segment, I think that the only problem I had was like, the only problem I had with this segment is like the idea that the reason why janitors had to be employed like was because of COVID. Like there was a little bit of a disconnect there, but other than that, I think the entire point of this video I agree with. I said that multiple times. I think we all need unions to protect workers. True. If you don't like working for a company because you think they don't pay enough, don't work for them or start your own business. Oh yeah, hey folks, yeah, it must be nice to... Hey, does everybody here have the capital to start their own business? I'm sorry, remind me, does everybody here just magically have like the capital to start their own business? And furthermore, the idea that you need to... The only way like you can get out of this is like by saying like, oh, well just start your own business, bro. Well, no, not everybody can just start their own business. And not, this is like saying like, bro, just everybody be a doctor. Everybody be a doctor. Dude, it's really easy. Just all you have to do is just be a doctor. US 29 US Code, right of employees as to organization, collective bargaining, etc. Employees shall have the right to self-organization, form, join, or assist labor organizations to bargain collectively through representatives of their own choosing, and to engage in other concerted activities for the purpose of collective bargaining and other mutual aid protection, and shall also have the right to refrain from any and all such activities except to the extent that such right may be affected by agreement required by membership in labor organization as a condition of employment as authorized. Cool. Oh no, I didn't have the capital necessary to amount of my own law firm. I needed help. Oh, what? So you mean to say that like not everybody just has like this magical like ability to just start their own business? Huh? Amazing. And I work for a small news outlet. I know that I'm financially privileged, but at least I ain't a dick about it. I mean, like, well, yeah. So you understand that these things don't just happen magically, right? This is the same argument where auto workers are getting over 50 an hour and still protesting they weren't paid enough. That's not true. A lot of protests happen because of working conditions, not necessarily the pay. There are many other things to protest about or to unionize about other than just pay. Working conditions would be one of them. See Amazon warehouse conditions. Your company should send those companies to the south. They would work for half the wages. Yeah, I know you're okay with like the fact that there are like literal like sweatshops. This is like unbelievably like ridiculous logic. The average minimum wage in the US is not enough to cover the lowest rent. You think that is okay? Yeah, he would actually be fine with that. making a small business is very expensive and difficult. Yeah, true. Not everybody can be a small business owner. That's not that's like not how. Imagine like if the entire country was just a bunch of small businesses. That's not how that. Wait, that's not how that works. Now, if you mean that you want to incentivize, worker-owned corporations like worker co-ops, where people actually own the fruits of their own labor, then yeah. You're not listening. You literally just ran past whatever point I made. I didn't say that if you're making $50 an hour, which first of all, I'm not sure I 100% believe, there are other things to protest about. Did you not hear? I said that see the conditions of warehouses or shops or whatever. You can make protests about like the safety hazards or even working conditions or even benefits. So like, what? What do you mean? And furthermore, I'm highly suspect about $50 an hour. Many people are from companies, some days start to small business. It's hard to do if your company pays shit. You're basically working to live and have little capacity to save or build credit. True. As a small business owner, people being so flippant about workers' right being trampled by really pisses me off. Exactly. Listen, hey, here's a hot take. If you can't pay your people living wages, you shouldn't be in business. It's a cost of doing business. Sorry. And furthermore, absolutely the only way that you could have a way of like airing your grievances with corporations, especially massive corporations, is through unionization. So like none of what you're saying makes any type of sense. Like time and time again has shown that being in a union... Oh, send it to me, Sir Yogi. Hold on, did I miss something? Time and time again shows that the way you balance this like difference of power dynamics is by unionization. That's how that works. How are you supposed to bargain?
Welcome to Australia in lockdown, where small businesses are on the verge of collapse, Centrelink lines wrap around the corner, and in the midst of crisis,
does pay living wages. We're trying to transition into a worker cooperative. Amazing! Hey, look at that! Hey, look, hold on.
our money back.
Hit it, Fergie.
All the time I turn around, brothers gather round.
Ooh, I don't know if that's copyright.
Quick and smash that like and subscribe button and leave us a comment. Last week we released our investigation into private school funding, and surprise, surprise, the old boys weren't happy. The good thing is there isn't a less intimidating group to piss off than a bunch of ex-private school boys who work at Goldman Sachs. What are you gonna do? Throw your pair of R.M. Williams boots at me? I grew up in Geelong. Detroit, baby. I've been dodging meth pipes since the age of 5 after the Ford factory closed. In that investigation, we revealed how elite private schools have been reaping JobKeeper while operating off a surplus. Only this morning, The Guardian reported that Hale's private boys' school
it's the same playbook. Nothing changes here. It's literally the same playbook.
More than $7 million in JobKeeper while reporting a surplus of $8.3 million.
It's basically the idea that I think what Sir Yogi was saying, because we were talking about how corporations, like, they just kind of take all the freebies and then still lay off people, right? So in Australia, it's the same concept. There's a story not so long ago, plant workers were protesting 15 hours not enough, and everybody else is like, are you guys stupid? Listen, bro. First of all, again, I'm highly suspect about that. Second of all, protesting doesn't always involve like wages. It is one of the reasons why people protest, but it's not the only thing.
Slap in the face to all small business owners currently hitting the wall. Guess who their two most famous
I don't see
alumni are?
why.
You'd rather have...
Send it to by whispers, because links are blocked. So send it by whispers. I don't see why companies can't pay a living wage. Oh, look, there you go. DM it to Chai. There you go. DM it to Chai Bureaucrat. I don't see why companies can't pay living wages. Here's a story in the June Los Angeles Times reporters at the rival plant work run by Toyota and Honda make $50 an hour, and while GM workers cost $63 an hour. Ha! So, dude, this is a story about a company skimping off what a worker is actually worth in that industry. This story is a story about a company skimming off what a worker is worth to the tune of $13 an hour. What? I would be mad too. Wait. If a auto worker in that if an auto worker in that specific industry is worth $63 an hour, why are you paying me $50? Why are you mad at $50 an hour? Because that's not what my labor is worth. Mine is worth $63. You're not making any sense, my friend. You're not making any sense. You're not understanding. In this particular story, the problem isn't the $50 an hour. The problem is, in that specific industry, it is worth $63, not $50. If I'm worth $63 an hour, and you're trying to shaft me for $50, yeah, I'm gonna be mad. It's just one company paying compared to another? What? Scoffing at 50? I'm not scoffing at the wage per hour. I'm not scoffing at the wage per hour. I'm scoffing at the fact that you're trying to skim me off $13 an hour each hour. Wait. Hold on. So what if the other companies... Do you understand how, like... Okay, so basically what you're saying is that you have absolutely no... You have absolutely no sense of self-worth, right? You just take what you're given and, like, that's it. There's no reason to fight for more. Especially when when you realize that your labor is actually worth $13 more an hour. Like, imagine having, like, this level of, no, you know what? You're the one that's continually, like, not listening to what I'm saying. Imagine, like, having the concept in your head that, that you know that your labor is worth 63, and then you're supposed to accept 50. They're not protesting over 50 an hour. They're not protesting 50 an hour. They're protesting that they're not being paid their worth in the industry. Jesus Christ. Like, imagine being a doctor. Like, imagine being a doctor that, like, is being shafted for, like, I don't know, if a doctor is being shafted and saying, like, oh yeah, the doctor generality says you should be paid $20 an hour, and then, like, the hospital says, well, you know what, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to pay you, like, I don't know, $10 an hour. I'm like, wait, no, No, my job is worth 20. That's the whole point of understanding and why it's so important to organize and talk to each other as workers. Like equal work equals equal pay, right? If I'm doing the same job, then I'm going to be paid what I'm worth. Period. Ship those jobs down south and they'll take half the wages. I seem to think that you just like don't really like this country. Like you wanted to A, exploit its workers, B, take jobs away from this country, and C, like I don't get it. Like, do you care at all about what happens in this country? True, increase hospital wages. You're greedy, you not want to pay someone's value higher. Yeah, it's also incredibly greedy. Damn right. Yeah, you just don't like this country. It's only greed when workers demand more. That's a great point. It's only greed, not the fact that companies are incredibly greedy by trying to shaft people. No, it's not exorbitant wages in that industry. It's not exorbitant wages in that industry. Holy yikes. Dude, I hope one day, like, I mean, like, how did you come to this conclusion? Like, is this just like some talking points, like a dialogue tree, like an NPC dialogue tree that you have? Are you listening to yourself? Are you? Equal work, equal pay. I like how the right says, if you don't like America, you can leave, and that's when I say, I already left for the UK. Jesus Christ. Imagine being so contemptful to the working class of this country.
Frabin Goyle on that alumni board. The JobKeeper payment was meant to protect small businesses and casual workers, not boost the coffers of billionaires. Take the Premier Investments Group, for example, owned by retail billionaire Solomon Lew. They received $70 million in JobKeeper, despite recording a 30% surge in profits. Harvey Norman, owned by Jerry Harvey, received $22 million in JobKeeper, despite profits doubling to $462 million. Mirvac Property Group, my personal
This is another nonsense argument. A company can decide how much they pay. If you don't want the wages, don't take the job. Wait. That also doesn't make any sense, because, like, what if your choices are McDonald's for $9 an hour, Walmart for $9 an hour, and I don't know, insert whatever retail store for $9 an hour, Target for $9 an hour. Like, is that really a choice? You're not making any sense. I was getting a poor hatred vibe too. Yeah, this person is probably like speaking from a position of like privilege, in the sense that like it doesn't matter to them.
favorite, a company worth $10 billion, grabbed $22 million in JobKeeper and still laid off staff despite their surging profits. And when those staff were laid off, they were asked to fill out a JobKeeper application on their way out. Ascent used JobKeeper to pay a $1.3 million bonus to its CEO, plus huge dividends to its shareholders as profits rose 60%. Then they refused to repay JobKeeper in February, saying they'd use it for future lockdowns, and now they're laying off staff. That's your money going to billionaires who have cheated the Australian public during during a national crisis. When COVID is behind us, Australians will have to pay higher taxes to get that
To tittle D, these people are geniuses.
money back. You'd think the government might try to reclaim JobKeeper from companies that cheated to get it, but we're forgetting who the Prime Minister is. Scott Morrison, a man who oversaw the illegal robo-debt scheme, doesn't have the balls to claw back money from Australia.
I listened to you and I've accepted your argument as, well, not a good argument. I listened to you. Your argument is, oh, well, they shouldn't be protesting because $50 an hour is a good wage. No. $50 an hour in comparison to what the industry pays, which is $63 an hour, is the problem.
Australian billionaires. You know why? Because he'd rather spend that energy sucking money from the poorest Australians on the cusp of survival. 2,030 people died after receiving their illegal robo-debt, a program that Scott Morrison oversaw. 424 of those deaths were under the age of 35. Read Kath Madwick's letter.
It is irrational. Listen, if my labor is worth $100 an hour, I want my $100 an hour. If my labor is only worth, like, I don't know, what's the living wage? A living wage would probably be in, let's use living wage for South Florida, okay? If living wage is South Florida at $20 an hour or ish, whatever, I'm making up a number, $20 an hour. That is the minimum someone should be able to pay. However, if my job as a customer service representative or as a I don't know, adjuster is $30 an hour, I'm not gonna say, well, you know what, I should just accept 20 because like that. No, my labor, if it's valued at in the industry at $30, then I want my $30. Determine what the company pays is your labor is what your labor is worth. That's also not really true how that works. I assume you just don't at this point know anything. It literally doesn't work that way. Like, wages aren't determined necessarily, like your labor's worth doesn't always determine what your company pays, I think. Your company decides to pay less, then why not fight for equal pay instead of exploiting people? True. One company is paying $7.25 and the other is paying $10 an hour. Yeah, that tells me that the person making $7.25 is being shafted. That's literally what that tells me. Are you not seeing this? This is like a race to the bottom. This is a race to the bottom.
Suicide after receiving his robo-debt. That's a clear indication of how much Scott Morrison cares about his citizens. Australian billionaires must pay the JobKeeper back, or Australian taxpayers will pay the money forward over the next 50 years. Lockdowns cost money. They cost people's physical, mental, and financial health. But lockdowns also make money. Businesses deemed essential.
No, because in the scenario that you originally tried to make your point at, both of these companies were massive. GM and whatever the other company were on equal footing. One of them was shafting workers $13 out of their pay. That's why they protested. They were both giant corporations. So you're just going in circles and you're just making arguments that don't make any sense. How about this? How about you take a second and understand like the nonsense that you're spewing? Holy yikes. Well, that depends on the size of the business. Though your original example was two companies of the same size, of the same even type. And the problem wasn't the $50 an hour. Again, the problem was equal work equals equal pay. Jesus Christ. This is not hard.
Companies like Coles and Harvey Norman have made record profits. Channel 9, Google Australia, Mirvac and Premier have all made extraordinary amounts of money from this pandemic. In fact, over the last year, the combined wealth of Australia's billionaires has increased by more than 50%. By comparison, billionaires in the US and the UK received an increase of 25%.
The same last show, constantly moving goalposts. True.
Read out on the 6 o'clock news because it would rightly infuriate you. Why not make the corporations who have benefited from the lockdown pay for the effects of that lockdown? Why not deliver all the big winners of the pandemic with a one-off COVID tariff from their record profits and have them pay for the government's bailout?
True.
Why should middle income earners who are losing money from the lockdowns have to pay it forward over generations? And they will, because Australia's billionaire corporations are largely tax exempt, as detailed by Michael West Media's secret
Yeah, same story here.
rich list. It's not unheard of for the government to demand big business help the country during a national crisis. It worked in World War II and it could work against the coronavirus.
This
Australian
YouTuber has solo
billionaires
years
pay
of
the money back,
George
but
Harrison
also
luck.
pay the money forward so that this lockdown doesn't last for generations. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and
cool. I agree. I agree. Anyways, TLDR, oh yeah, I like George Harrison's music. I got my mind set on you. I look at you. Oh. So anyways, the TLDR is number one, unions are a perfect way to kind of set like an even playing field. So they're incredibly important. And number two, they do improve worker conditions. They do improve, generally speaking, workers' happiness within their job. So yeah, we should have more unions. So screw you. We should have unions. Also, exploiting people is bad. This is like, I know, 200 IQ take, but like, exploiting people is bad. Pay people what they're worth. Stop trying to like cop out of like deserved wages. So slightly good news. I know Spread It Forward was looking for some good news. We've got new studies. A mixed AstraZeneca Pfizer vaccine boosts antibody levels. So, it turns out if you kind of like, where they're studying the ability to, or the effects of actually combining them, and it seems to me like it's doing pretty good. Hey, Azure Scapegoat, thank you so much for the raid. I appreciate that. Happy birthday raid. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The sad part about my fiance's business is that we can't hire new people much anymore because we already have enough staff and we can't really afford to. We don't want to cut wages. Yeah, so like, yeah, but you're not out there like telling people to accept lower wages. Thank you so much, as your scapegoat. Welcome everybody. Hey Frosty. Hey Yellow King. That's one battle I've been losing for years and it caught up with me. Wait, which one? Joe and Paul are not equal in skill or pay, but J-Ro has a title. Christ is gonna have to wait till season 18. I have no idea what that means. It was my birthday, yes. I appreciate that, Yellow King. We need more laws that implement union rules without the union, if that makes sense. Do you mean like expanding labor protections? Or at least enforcing the labor protections that we have? Expand the labor protections, but you don't have to pay the outrageous union dues to get the said protection. I mean, if that was like incorporated, maybe, but like the reality is, I don't know how that would work unless we have like a top down, which is I don't know. Because like the reason why we need things like minimum wage and stuff like that is because like, well, we don't have a unified or like an overall unionized workforce. There are countries in like Europe who don't have minimum wage, but like the overwhelming majority is 70 and up % of their workforce is unionized. So like, I don't know, you can do top down, I guess, prescriptions where you say, okay, well, you're going to force X, Y, and Z companies to do X, Y, and Z, but I don't know. Happy birthday, my friend, educating as always. Thank you, I appreciate that. Reality is bunk. In Oklahoma, you have the at-will law, and despite of being in a union, you can be fired for any reason. Yeah, so like, despite being in a union, yeah, I don't know. My first job, 91, we got a 3-point for raise for a national strike of metal union. Then in 95, hospitality union protected us from getting charged to leave the island. We were trapped on 24/7. We were employed with it being free and was part of the contract. We almost shut the island down for that. Nice. Cutting wages will bring instability and strikes. That's something we need to avoid at all costs. We have negotiations with the unions. True. Today is ADT's 40th birthday. Poggers. True. Wait. In spite of unions, state laws say you can be fired for any reason. So, yeah, that's kind of a problem, don't you think? The Western civilization needs to change. Too many working for food, insurance, and medical is too damn high. True. Medical costs, which is an insane concept to begin with. Medical costs. Think about that for a second. All civilization needs to change. I think that there definitely needs to be a change before I talk about this in like the in the direction of like climate change. Society needs to change in a lot of ways. Particularly how we deal with economics, particularly how we deal with this like consumerist economy. Considering the fact that like it is undeniable that our current system, our current system of capitalism is not equipped to handle climate change. I think that it is safe to assume that maybe we should start thinking about like questioning where we're going with this, right? We don't fire people for no reason. That is something that me and the others in the company will never do. Yeah, and that's awesome. And the fact that you're even like moving to transform the company into a worker co-op is like unbelievably awesome. I want to know, actually, from your first-hand experience, Robomax, as that progresses, I'm actually curious as to how like that works from first-hand experience. What time era would you think you would thrive the most? If you had a time machine, what time era would you think you would thrive the most? Like me personally, it depends on what you mean by thriving. I think like as I you know, what is it? Hindsight is always 2020. I think I would have liked to be more involved in politics earlier, right? I think I would have liked to be involved in more in politics earlier, probably like right before or right as the Obama era started. Happy sad news, my Calico Gizmo had her first litter, but we lost the run, and she had 4 beautiful, healthy babies, though. Oh no. Well, I'm glad that Gizmo and the rest of the babies are okay. How's it going, Miss Nixa? We've had to cancel a lot of plans. Yeah, I'm sure it's not easy. Thank you, Yellow King. you had a time? Oh, yes. For me, I think I would thrive best in the 1840s. Happy birthday, ADT Feels Birthday Man. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, the leader. A house full of tiny meows. Aww. Aww. Yella King with the massive tier 5 tier 1 gifted subs. Thank you so much. Very well then. I appreciate that follow. Thank you. And when I say I have a lot, I mean a redneck number of dogs. Oh, I mean having a bunch of doggos is cool too. Cheers. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Alright, folks. We've got a few to go through. So some good news, right? They have made a study, or I guess a test experiment, mixing the AstraZeneca and Pfizer. It turns out it boosts antibody levels, so it shows. A new study found that antibody levels are boosted in people who got a shot of the AstraZeneca and then a shot of the Pfizer. If the results hold, they could lead countries to combine the AstraZeneca with another vaccine to improve the result. Well, it would have to be combined with the vaccine that worked, right? I imagine that this study was specifically about the AstraZeneca and the Pfizer, so I imagine they have to combine these specific ones. The AstraZeneca is in wide use in some countries, though the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines are mostly widely used in the US. The study was conducted by the Korea Disease Control and Prevention agency in South Korea. Involved 499 medical workers. In the study, 100 participants received one shot each of the two vaccines, while 200 others took the doses of the Pfizer shot, and the remaining participants got 2 doses of the AstraZeneca shot. Those who received the shot of AstraZeneca and then the shot of Pfizer saw their neutralizing antibody levels boosted 6 times compared to those who got the 2 AstraZeneca shorts. Shorts or shots? Reuters reported antibodies prevent the virus from replicating in cells. The results showed that the mixed AstraZeneca-Pfizer shots had the same effect of neutralizing antibodies for those who received the 2 Pfizer shots. Interesting. A new study comes as British scientists conduct their own study in June showing that an AstraZeneca shot followed by the Pfizer can produce the best T-cell and antibody responses to the virus. The Delta variant of the COVID virus has fueled the rise in cases throughout the world, with unvaccinated people being the vast majority of those contracting the virus. Of course. Obviously. COVID basically ruined our business for like 14 months. Lockdown restrictions are being removed and we have started opening back. The plan is to transfer worker co-op once the COVID is over. We're actually going to transfer to worker co-ops during the mid to 2020. Sadly, we had to delay because of reasons. Listen, I am super curious, Robobacks, to get a first-hand kind of anecdote of that. I would really like for you to hang out and give us updates as it happens. And you know what? You can even join the Discord and just post updates there if you want to. Is a vaccine a drug? No. A vaccine is a vaccine. A drug is a drug. So TLDR, it looks like there's a new possibility of combining these vaccines to make an even better immunization process. I mean, like I've had a couple of bouts with some of these like more on the right folks, and I think that it's like incredibly frustrating how people people who are somehow who become armchair like virologists, really trying to dispute the reality of the efficacy of the vaccines by shifting. I don't know if it would be called like the if shifting the goalposts would be, but like they moved to the position of, well, I don't know what's in the vaccine, but natural immunity is the best. Your immune system is better than any vaccine ever. Like, okay, if that wasn't the case, explain to me how we got rid of smallpox, polio, diphtheria, measles, blah 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 blah. It's like, what about all the people the vaccine makes sick? I know of several. There's a lot of thinkers who don't know what it... There's a lot of things I don't know what's in it. That's kind of why you trust the experts. Yeah, like, the idea that, like, because, I don't know, there was a mistake in messaging, then immediately calls for throwing out all, like, relevant science is, like, beyond me. It's like the idea that, oh, I saw this argument the other day. Jesus Christ. I saw this argument where, like, oh, well, you know, doctors used to, back in the day, advocate for smoking, and we know how that turned out. Those doctors were paid to lie by the tobacco industry. And furthermore, it's a leap in logic to say that because a doctor has lied before, then therefore they're lying now. That doesn't make any sense. 97% of new COVID cases are among the unvaccinated. That should be enough to convince people, but sadly it's not. No, these people are like literally living in La La Land. And unfortunately, because of people who are propagating like serious misinformation, and I don't mean like, I mean literal misinformation that's just factually incorrect. I mean like that's just factually incorrect. It's creating a problem. It's creating a problem. Look, I'm tired, all right? I'm annoyed and angry and frustrated. We all are. We all are. Okay? So you know what would behoove us to move forward from this? Is to just simply get vaccinated. Jesus Christ. And like a lot of these people are literally acting like children. It's like, it's so unbelievably childish. Notice how we aren't even talking about natural immunity. We have done studies on natural immunity. Cry baby. I'm not sure what that means. Notice how we aren't even talking about natural immunity. Yeah, we do. We have studies on it. We even know how effective natural immunity is. Pretending it doesn't exist. We know it exists. We've acknowledged it. We've done studies. We've even done studies comparing natural immunity and those who've taken the vaccine immunity. It's like, does Matt Walsh think like scientists don't consider this? Like, does Matt Walsh think he's like some kind of like 200 IQ individual that he somehow figured out something that like virologists didn't or epidemiologists didn't? Like, who does he think he is? Doesn't natural immunity last only around 4 months? I believe it's a little bit longer. The problem being is that natural immunity doesn't always. It can, but not. But sometimes it may not protect you against variants because natural immunity was generally for that COVID strain, right? It's kind of like, God, I gotta be very careful with my words. It's it would be akin to or similar to you getting the cold virus and you having immunity to that strain, but then another cold virus comes along and gets you sick, right? It's kind of like that, because even though like you're pretty much like good on these cold viruses, a new one, a variant can happen, which is the reason why you get sick, right? It's similar to that concept, okay? The concept is, generally speaking, the point of the vaccine and why, one of the reasons why it's better than natural immunity is because it offers a good protection against variants, particularly the Delta variant, who's currently making itself the dominant strain at this point. Suddenly, because I have an opinion, I know more. I know more than doctors with 8 years of college. True. I understand the variants, but isn't natural immunity significantly less effective than vaccines? We are studying that. It's definitely not the same. It's not the same. There's a reason why experts are encouraging vaccines versus natural immunity. And second of all, a lot of these diseases or viruses or incidents that we've had in the past, we never got to herd immunity. We eradicated these things with vaccines. There's a reason for that. Isn't natural immunity? Yes, it doesn't last as long too. We're doing more studies regarding the efficacy of the vaccine immunity, and it seems like tests are coming back that it might actually last even longer than originally thought. So, yeah. So this concept about not talking about natural immunity is not true. Pretending it doesn't exist, we absolutely acknowledge it. We hear about the unvaccinated, but nobody even asks how many of them are immune from prior infection. Yeah, we've also seen people... Oh, our friend, Rand Paul. Our good friend, Rand Paul. Our good friend Rand Paul is a perfect example. So, Mr. Rand Paul got COVID. And was it... Okay, hold on. Somebody's got to fact check me. Was Rand Paul the one who got COVID twice? Because he thought he had natural immunity, and then like he got it twice. But aren't vaccines intended to give your body the DNA of the virus in order for our body to produce the antibodies? Yes, but not this type of vaccine. This type of vaccine works off of, with the exception of the Johnson & Johnson. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine is more of that traditional vaccine, Ms. Nixa. But the mRNA vaccines are built a little bit differently. They use something, insert science talk here about the spike protein of the actual virus, not the live version of the virus, right? Vaccines hone on specific antigen of the virus as opposed to natural immunity, which is more general, hence why we think vaccine protection is longer. Thank you. I saw Fauci had just had some kind things to say about Rand Paul. True. Anyways, the TLDR is like, look, if you don't know what you're talking about, Why would you make this stupid comment? Okay? Why would you make this comment? And of course, you know, we have people like him. All it gave me was a minor headache and a stuffy nose, no lingering side effects. I see no need for a young and healthy person such as myself to get vaccinated. Okay, buddy. Unvaxxed, but I had COVID. I don't need what my body already has. Jesus Christ. The vaccine doesn't contain COVID. Oh, an MD. Hold on. An actual medical doctor responding to this comment. No one is pretending natural immunity is not existent. Artificial immunity is most often superior to natural immunity, such as the case with COVID. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Donati. I appreciate someone who, an actual person who has dealt with this, instead of just some rando on the internet like myself, right? Not true. There are peer-reviewed articles and studies that demonstrate natural immunity is superior. Source? Never provided. Artificial is never better than natural. What? Okay. The point of me going over that is, like, the incredible frustration about, like, the anti-science kind of rhetoric and, like, the ramifications of it, right? The ramifications of spreading nonsense before actually knowing what you're talking about, right? I mean, myself included, right? What I would urge people to do is have some, like, critical thinking. It is quite possible. I know this might be like a breaking news, but it is quite possible that someone like Matt Walsh is just simply trying to rile up his base, and maybe it's quite possible that someone like Matt Walsh has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. I know, it's astonishing. It's an astonishing fact, but maybe it would behoove us to critically assess what the information being posted in front of us, and by who it is being posted. Why is it being posted? I completely agree, Miss Nixa. I know this is dark and evil, but I'm kind of looking forward to when all these idiots die. Nah. Listen, Circuit Overlord, I completely disagree. A lot of these folks think the way they do because, like, they're being propagandized. I would even argue that these people, especially the people who are just, like, blindly following, I would almost say, like, these are victims. Like, which is why I'm being, like, incredibly stressed. Like, I'm stressing the importance of looking at the data, looking at the science, listening to experts who know about this, right? Because, like, I don't want any of these people to die. I don't want anybody to die. And if we can avoid that, it would behoove us to try to avoid that, right? Like, I don't want to see the news. It gives me, like, no pleasure to look at the death count of over 600 something thousand people that are dead. God knows how many people are now suffering permanent damage for nothing other than to own the libs or whatever, or complete misinformation that they were told by somebody who most likely probably got vaccinated themselves. We all need to get over the mentality about how it affects us. It's not about us. I would probably be fine if I got it, but But if I offed my granddad in February, so the whole point of the vaccine is to stop the spread of the worst respiratory disease I can think of. So yeah, it can affect as few people as possible. Right? Exactly. Like at this point, like it's time to be a grown up. All right, it's time to be a grown up and stop acting like petulant children. I'm talking specifically to those who are like making complete nonsensical arguments about like, well, I don't know, I don't want to take it. I don't want to take it. The government told me to take it, so I'm not going to take it because the government told me to. Wah. Like, get over yourself. Jesus Christ. I don't want to take it because Fauci made a mistake this other one time, and I don't want to take it because I can't trust anything. Get over yourself. Be an adult. Hey Rendies, how's it going? Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. All these like armchair epidemiologists on Twitter is Jesus Christ. Other than random car search, no one really cares about. I think vaccine verification would have helped if places were actually to check. I mean, like, I think that in certain circumstances, that might even be good. I don't trust Fauci, but that's for different reasons. I still trust the WHO and governments that are trying to save their people. Yeah, but like, my point is, like, even if you don't trust Fauci, which, like, I don't know, dude. Like, it seems to me like he has all the credentials. So whatever, you can criticize him for mishandling of certain things. Fine. But Fauci had nothing to do with the vaccine. Fauci has absolutely nothing to do with the vaccine. Like, you see, like, where the disconnect from like reality happens, where like I don't want to trust X because like X said something, and then like now I don't, like, the disconnect is like this is a whole other separate project, right? Like, Fauci has nothing to do with the vaccine. I don't. Why would anybody think that way? Yes, Fauci has over 40 years of degrees and experience. Yeah, first of all, he has absolutely all the credentials. And second of all, he has nothing to do with the vaccine. Like, and mind you, like, these are the same people who are like... These are the same people who would probably be fine if Trump was president and he'd be the one pushing it. Like, it's the cognitive dissonance. That's what I mean. They shouldn't even be listening to him. Well, I disagree. I disagree. I think that Fauci's expertise is valuable. And I think that I have no reason to necessarily distrust the science behind the stuff what he says. Yeah, agreed. That's perfectly fine criticism. That's perfectly fine criticism. Yeah, the messaging behind, like, oh, well, you know, he told us for this reason, but now, like, I get it. I get that there's criticisms behind some of the messaging and some of the ways he handled certain things. Fine. Fine, you can criticize him on that. I'm not even gonna probably even dispute that. But the reality is, like, the data and the science behind what he's saying, and how you know, effective the vaccines are has nothing to do with him, any of that. Furthermore, his like actual work on like virology and stuff like that are incredibly important and valuable. And yeah, I don't know, it seems like a lot of people are trying to use that as a crutch to then say everything is useless, nothing should be trusted, right? And that's the problem. They're using that and then saying, oh, you know what? We can't trust anything. There's absolutely nothing we can trust. Like, wait, now hold on. That doesn't make any sense. Now hold on. I'm pretty sure we can be a little bit more rational than that. I don't know if maybe. Hey, Marcus. First of all, I'm so sorry. I did not see the last raid from yesterday. I didn't even know, like, it didn't even pop up for me, or I didn't see it. So, number 1, I am so sorry. Number 2, howdy. Number 3, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I think there was a Twitch glitch. I don't think you were actually on. Oh, maybe that's why I didn't see it. Because I was very strange. Like, when I woke up and saw everything, I was like, that's really weird. I could have sworn. Happy belated. He's also smart and calm. I am incredibly not calm. No, I'm just kidding. Granted, clearly thinking like adults and following what's good for the group instead of what's good for yourself is not the strong suit of America, as we're painfully finding out. So he probably did the right thing. I just wish he'd admit what he did and why. Maybe. Again, sure. Because, like, the ability to attempt to understand, it turns out the ability to understand, like, to read the room, and, like, he tried to understand, like, how people would be selfish enough to actually unironically buy up all the important masks, and then, and then, like, it completely went the wrong way. I don't know. It just seems to me like, listen, there's real data, there's real science out there, have some critical thinking skills, stop acting like children, and you know what? If you don't like lockdowns and you don't want any of this, then do your part. Alright? Do your part. I was so excited to raid you because normally we can. It turns out there was a reason for that. Boo. I'm not selfish. Even when the CDC say not wear masks, I'm double vaxxed. I still wore it because there are variants. Yes, Randy's. That is comments. That's perfectly fine. Yeah, that's completely completely fine. So the CDC. Well, no, the CDC isn't necessarily like wrong behind the implication that if obviously if the 5 of you that are hanging out are all vaccinated. I mean, realistically speaking, like, there's almost, like, statistically, like, 0.0 whatever chance of that spreading. The problem is, they jumped the gun and they made these recommendations before we reached herd immunity, so everybody thinks that everything is okay. Exactly, Randy's, for the sake of opening up, and they jumped the gun on that. Okay? So it's not that technically, in a sense, it wasn't, the science behind that recommendation wasn't wrong. It's just like, they really jumped the gun on that, in my opinion. I think they should have, like, held off until we got herd immunity and tried to, like, get everybody, like, vaccinated as much as possible, as quickly as possible. And then be like, all right, guys, hey, you know what? If you're completely vaxxed, and, like, at that point, it would make sense, right? If you reach herd immunity, meaning, over 70% of the people are already vaxxed, and you then say, all right, you can start releasing some of the restrictions and blah blah blah, that makes sense. But unfortunately, the moment the CDC made those recommendations, people started lying about whether or not they were vaxxed, which is probably why we are seeing, like, a complete, like, reversal on how we were going. So, yeah, it's not good. It's incredibly frustrating. I want this to end. I'm sure a lot of you want this to end. So just do your part, right? Setting a broad goal of, since immunity percentage was a mistake. Yep. Our governor said we won't open everything until we have 70% vaccine rate. We opened at like 40%. Jesus Christ. I'm so sorry, Alio. I'm so sorry. And like, Jesus Christ, this is so frustrating because like, it doesn't have to be like that, right? Like, it doesn't have to be like politicized. It doesn't have to be like, it doesn't have to be this big a deal, okay? Like, I never remembered like it being such a deal to recommend like vaccinations to get rid of X, Y, or Z. Like, it's seriously. Jesus, Chai. Yes, it literally is not a big deal, okay? It's not a big deal. They did recover. Well, that's good. I'm glad they did. I'm glad nothing serious happened to them. And I hope that they don't have any type of long COVID symptoms. It should be straightforward, but it's all politicized. It's unbelievable to me that like something as basic as like vaccines equal like immunization against X, Y, or Z is a socialist plot or something. This is unbelievably like incredibly frustrating. Long COVID. Long COVID is like effects from having COVID that are more down the road. Some people have like long COVID in the sense that their lungs are not the same. There has even been studies about like neurological damage from long COVID. It's a possibility, even if you are healthy. When I had my son, I was required to wear a mask in the NICU, not because of him, but because of other babies in there. True. Yeah. I can just toss my mask in the wash and they're good as new in an hour and a half, no big deal. Yeah, like, the reality is, if you have, if science recommends that you do X, Y, or Z, and said X, Y, or Z is wearing a mask, wearing a mask, I mean, what's the net negative? Yeah, did recover if they have long COVID. I don't know about that. Well, time will tell if they suffer like long implications from COVID. It can complications from COVID. It can happen. So to really drive the point home, right? 34-year-old California man who mocked COVID, the COVID vaccine, dies of the virus. A man who mocked COVID-19 vaccinations died this week at an LA area hospital after contracting the virus. Stephen Harmon was 34. 34. Harmon died on Wednesday at Corona Regional Medical Center, about an hour's drive of Los Angeles. Stephen Herman posted pictures of himself in a hospital bed, wrote that he had pneumonia and critically low oxygen levels and was going to be intubated. In a tweet Wednesday, he said, "I don't know when I'll wake up, please pray." 3 days before his death, Harmon tweeted, "If you don't have faith in God, can heal me over your stupid ventilator and keep me the hell out of my ICU room. There's no room in here for lack of faith." This is an incredibly sad story. This is an incredibly sad story. This isn't like a meme, okay? This isn't a meme. This is an incredibly sad story, and like his, there are many. And yeah, he's a year and older and a half older than me. Yeah, he's not that much older than me either, right? I'm younger than him. We're around the same ish age group, right? A couple years off. Before his hospitalization, Harmon made fun of vaccination efforts on social media. "I got 99 problems, but a vaccine won." On July 8th, he posted, "Biden's door-to-door vaccine surveyors should be really called COVID witness." Harmon's death was unbelievably demoralizing to Dr. Oren Friedman, who treats COVID patients at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in LA. He said the number of COVID-19 admissions have increased tenfold. Tenfold, folks. Virtually every single person that is getting sick enough to be admitted into the hospital has not been vaccinated. California has seen escalated numbers of COVID infections led by the highly transmissible Delta variant and that has proliferated since the state fully reopened the economy last month. The vast majority of new cases are among the unvaccinated people. and health officials have pleaded for people to get the shots. On Friday, the State Department of Health reported nearly 8,000 new cases a day earlier, with the testing positivity rate over 7 days had jumped more than 5% after dipping below 1% only a few weeks ago. Yeah. LA County, which has a fourth of the state's population, reported that more than 3,000 new cases for the first time since February. There were 655 people with COVID in hospitals, a jump of more than 200 people in a week. I must go to a doctor appointment. Good day, everybody. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate that. That's what I really don't understand about the alt-right. They're literally killing their constituents. Well, there's a lot of folks out there who are doing a 180 turn on their messaging, and they're beginning to realize, oh yeah, that makes that brings me up to a good point. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the ex-press secretary of Donald Trump, has come out. Finally, it is now July, in favor of vaccines. I've seen so many of these people who say they're young and healthy, and you can just look at them and be like, no, you're not. Right. And like, but even then, like, objectively healthy people have fallen, just dropped dead from COVID. It doesn't happen often, but it can. Harmon attended Hillsong Church in Los Angeles. Founder Brian Huston called him one of the most generous people I know. Maybe. But you see, this is the problem. This guy literally thought that his faith, his Christian faith, would supersede science. This is a story of someone who, I would say a victim. I mean, it's right there. If you don't have faith that God can heal me over your stupid ventilator, then keep the hell out of my ICU room, as like science, and as science is the one that was keeping him alive for the time that he was. I mean, as science probably would have saved him had he taken the vaccine. Okay? This is a story about a victim. Quite frankly. Yeah, and beware of faith healers. That's right. Yep, that's right. Messaging has changed. Messaging is definitely changing because they're realizing what's happening, right? The overwhelming majority of people who are getting incredibly sick or unfortunately passing away are those who are unvaccinated. And take a wild guess at the overwhelming majority of who the unvaccinated are. It's truly a sad story, and I hope this brings the point home for those of you who are still attempting to argue against science. Like him, there's so many other stories. And it is demoralizing. Can you imagine, as a doctor, having to deal with this constantly because people refuse to get like vaccinated because they're being propagandized by like, I don't know, anywhere from like politicians to like media personalities and stuff like that are being influenced to not take the vaccine? How demoralizing is this to the doctors and the nurses in the ICU rooms when it doesn't have to be like this? Even my early healing practices acknowledge science. Yeah, I mean, like, 'cause there's no way around it, right? If you're being honest and good faith, you would know, like, you can't really go around that, right? Like, Miss Nixa, you can't really skirt that. It's just like, I'm sorry, But there's certain things that are just objectively true, and this would be one of them, right? You can't circumvent necessarily a consensus of science unless new improved science supersedes it, backed by new studies or backed by new data, so on and so forth, right? The only thing that should ever supersede a science consensus is the change or new studies proving otherwise, which would then lead you to change, like, oh yeah, actually we were wrong because of X, Y, and Z. Here's the new data. Here's the new consensus. That's the only way. The only reason why science, why we should change our minds about like scientific like realities or how we perceive things, right? All right, folks, we gotta shift gears. At least 85 wildfires torched 1.5 million acres across the drought-hit U.S. West. At least 85 active wildfires have torched roughly about 1.5 million acres across 13 U.S. states, mostly in the West, where parched landscape has fueled the fast-moving flames, caused extreme fire behavior, and has proved difficult to contain. No, this is not last year. This is this year. Yet another unprecedented fire season, right? I mean, at what point do we realize this is here? Climate change is here, and its effects are very real. The figures from the National Interagency Fire Center were reported as 2021. The fire season is already on track to break records set last year. Hey, just exactly what I was talking about. Set track to break records last year with more than 10.6 million acres burned. More than 90% of the West is now officially in drought, according to the NIFC, with recent heat waves setting numerous records in the Pacific Northwest, Northern Great Basin, and Northern Rockies. Yeah. Are you off work all week? No, sadly no, I wish. I wish I was. But I will be off work today and tomorrow. I talked to my conservative in-laws and they claim that the North just doesn't clean their forests, which is why they burn more. That is their talking point. It's Trump's talking point. That's where they got it from. 90% sure that that's where they got it from. The bootleg fires is creating its own weather patterns. Yep. Hey, Howdows. How's it going? We've been getting smoke from the Canada fires. Jesus. That's horrifying. Native Americans, true. Canada's on fire too, but nobody pays attention because it's unpopulated areas. Yep. Thanks for the shout out, of course. There are massive evacuations happening in Canada right now because of the fires. Yep. And this is probably, if things continue, it's probably just how it's gonna be. The Dixie Fire has become the largest California fire after it exploded in size over the weekend and joined with a separate fire. The Dixie Fire has scorched close to 197,500 acres and is only 22% contained. Officials reported an initial estimate that 16 homes and other structures have been destroyed, but the actual number is assumed to be higher. Yep. Rick Carhart, a CAL FIRE public information officer, said the damage assessment crews have not been able to access the burned areas. Part of the problem is that they physically weren't able to see anything because it's so smoky. Meanwhile, there's more than 10,700 homes that remain under threat, and evacuation orders have been issued in those communities in 3 counties. Yep. I mean...
Yeah, you're a little weak and scratchy. Can you repeat? Yeah, I got one of my Delta crews hiking down towards you to help out that situation down there. Do you need a hand crew? Or
still firing off this line, everything's holding, look good on the Dixie Fire.
We bought a 5th wheel as just in case, can load everything in and bug you out.
India.
Is that like a camper? Or, or like a trailer? The massive fire ignited on July 13th, just miles off where the deadly campfire erupted in 2018. It's believed to have caused by faulty Pacific gas and electric equipment, which also caused the campfire to kill 86 people. Level the town of Paradise. Yeah. From the beginning, the Dixie fire has been burning away from where the campfire burned, and that doesn't necessarily make people in the area feel a lot better. Everyone in this area is still very aware of dangers of fire, and they don't like seeing smoke in the air, because it's bad for you. The blaze is burning in areas that are difficult for crews and engines to access, which is complicating the containment efforts as more than 2,200 firefighters continue to fight the fire. It has also created large cloud formations that can generate erratic weather conditions, including thunderstorms and dry lightning strikes that can cause new ignitions. Smoke tapered the threat from those clouds over the weekend, Card said, but the incident meteorologists have forecasted that conditions may be more likely through the beginning of this week. If the fire behavior gets too extreme, we'll pull firefighters off the line and have them back off to wait until conditions are better so they can get back to work. I see, it's a camper that hooks into the bed of a truck versus the hitch. Interesting. The Bootleg Fire, as the largest wildfire in the West, which has burned more than 409,600 acres in Oregon, has also caused erratic conditions, which is what I think you were talking about, Miss Nixa. Through the weekend, forming a tornado along its eastern perimeter, according to officials. The fire was 53% contained as of Monday morning, but it is burning into the critically dry timber and shrubs that continue to fuel the flames, with little chance of rain bringing a reprieve. Yeah. I don't need to go on to make the point that this is a pretty bad situation, right? And this is going to continue to happen, and continue to happen, and continue to happen. At what point do we just give up trying to put them out? I don't know, but I would say that they don't. They don't. They'll just keep on trying to curtail them, cut the fire off from going further, and then at that point they would just try to mitigate it. Yeah, I guess when we run out of water, which, oh boy, that's gonna be a problem, considering that a lot of those places are dry and their water sources are incredibly scarce as it is. So yeah, they have all service roads closed and wouldn't let anyone out to clean. Jesus. I mean, like, when do we consider this an emergency? When do we consider this an actionable emergency, right? When do we consider this an actionable emergency where we can be like, hey, you know what? I think that at this point we have to do something, right? Like, at what point? When do we figure this out? When do we get the political will to actually start making a difference? How many people? How many thousands and hundreds of thousands of acres? At what point do we treat this like the emergency that it is? How many more do we of these incidents do we need? The news stations are showing the cops speak out about their trauma on January 6th. Yikes. They claim that you're harvesting if you go out and clean up piles. Jesus. Is there like a specific reason as to why they would even make that a thing? I don't know. Seems kind of a weird rule. At what point do we finally start treating this like the emergency that it is? The only forest here you're allowed to permit harvest from. Oh, okay. I really don't see, like, at what point do we tell ourselves, like, hey, this can't go on at this point, right? and in case we needed any other indication as to where we're heading. Oh yeah, folks. That's right. Another heat wave bringing triple-digit temperatures to the Pacific and Gulf Coast this week. And a permit covers 12 cords of wood, and it can only be fallen of trees of harvested. Gotcha. No, it is indeed not. This is not poggers. This is the opposite of poggers. This is unpoggers. The latest heat wave to grip the US this year, delivering triple-digit temperatures and heat indices across the country. The heat will last through the coming weekend and into next week as high-pressure systems move across the country. This massive ridge of high pressure will continue to build over the US through the beginning of next week, prompting heat advisories, excessive heat warnings, and excessive heat watches nationwide. Heat alert spans from the Pacific Northwest to Louisiana Gulf Coast on Monday, impacting over 35 million people. I mean, again, like, at what point do we say, like, we need to deal with this, right? At what point do we say that we need to deal with this? Here tomorrow 95, Thursday 97, and on Friday 102, triple digits. Yep. At what point do we say, like, hey, we should probably handle this. This is kind of a problem. At what point? At what point do we finally acknowledge this as the problem it is? I suspect that by the time we realize what we're supposed to do, it probably is too late. All we can do is do what we can in the time that we have within the tools that we have to bring awareness to these problems, and I hope people understand that. And of course, you can do your part as best as you can, and try to bring awareness and build political will to try to do something about this, but it's not looking good. It's not looking good. That being said, folks, unfortunately, that is all the time I have today. We did get through all the articles. Let me see here, make sure I didn't miss anybody. Okay. Yeah, probably at the same point when hell freezes over. Correct. So my final, I guess one of my final birthday requests is to please be kind to each other. Okay? Please be kind to each other. Please do your best in terms of, like, spreading information. Please be aware of the information out there and how it could mislead people. And just do your best within the time that we have, with the tools that we have. Right? As best we can. You mean to spread it forward? True. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Happy Hatch Day. Awesome Awesome born aren't born, we are hatched. True. Thank you, I appreciate that, Miss Nixa. So yes, my request is that please be kind to each other. Alright, please be kind to each other. And to do what we can within the time that we have, within the tools that we have. Okay? That's my only request. That being said, thank you so much for all of you guys hanging out here with me. You guys are what makes the show grow. I appreciate all of your support. Thank you for all the new follows. Thank you, Memius. Sia. Thank you for all the new follows. Yellow King, thank you so much for the support. As your scapegoat for the massive raid. Good morning, Comrade Radio. Thank you for the massive raid. Thank you, USA Hole, for the USA Hole, for the raid. Thank you for all of you guys bringing your wonderful communities here. Make sure you follow all those wonderful folks. Make sure you follow Left Flank Vets, Alligio Share. Thank you, Spread It Forward. Thank you, Darknet. Sir Yogi, thank you so much. You guys are really what makes this channel grow, and I appreciate that. And again, if you guys enjoy the content, don't forget to hit the follow button. Don't forget to join the YouTubes. Hit the subscribe button. Like, comment, share, do all that awesome stuff. Join us on all the social medias, TikToks, YouTubes, Twitters, all of that. Exclamation Discord for the Discords, and keep up with the channel offline. We'll be back here Monday through Thursday. Oh, Discords. Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I believe tomorrow is the last day off, so we'll probably do a normal show. Thank you guys. You guys are what makes everything grow here. Spread the word far and wide that this is the chillest place to be for news and politics. As always, thank you so much. And please, yes, spread the word far and wide to everyone and anyone. Bring a friend. That this is the chillest place to be for news and politics. I appreciate all of you guys. Please take care. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. See ya. Alright, hang tight, folks. Okay. Alright, so Idan Simpson. How about Idan Simpson? Yeah, that looks good. Alright, hang on with us. Thank you, Darknet. As always, we're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya. Love your face. Later.